You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win!
Hosing! Score!
To Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Verhaeghe does it again! 52.1 seconds to go. Do you love it, Niagara?
Welcome into another episode of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all four of their great Niagara Region locations. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you at the Meridian Centre to break down the IceDogs' 8-2 loss at the hands of the Ottawa 67s with 7 NHL drafted players on the squad. The IceDogs really had a lot of chances in the first part of the game to really get on the board here, but the 67s took over with their veteran experience, and they ended up taking it to the IceDogs by a score of 8-2. We'll get post-game with IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau, and we're going to get Cam's unsung hero of the game as well as our player of the game later on. But, Cam, this is your final game recap of the season, unfortunately, with your travel schedule for your own commitments. So, you know, not the game that you would have wanted to see as for your last home game, but did see some positives tonight. Kevin He, another goal, team leading 29th, and Ryan Robrick tied Chris D'Souza and Marco Insam with his 23rd goal of the season, tying the rookie record for the IceDogs. So despite the lopsided score, there was some positives to take from this exciting young IceDogs team.
I agree. I said this months ago that as long as they can get within striking distance and keep it interesting into February at least, which they did, it was really about the future. And I think that it was a lot better watching the IceDogs this season, specifically because of Robrick and Kevin He. They did a large part of it. And now, while the score was pretty rough, and it didn't dictate how the game went. I agree, but again, you get to see the flashes of next year and the future of the franchise in Robrick and He, and that'll take far more over last year.
And another well-coached team here by Dave Cameron, obviously a longtime coach at the pro level and here in junior hockey as well. Kind of like what we saw from Troy Mann with the Kingston Frontenacs, a great system, but I feel like the IceDogs, after learning what happened against Kingston, with another, functionally sound team that we saw with the Ottawa 67s, the IceDogs did a better job of being able to limit them with their game plan. And, despite it being a 6-goal loss, by the eyeball test, it was a night and day difference from what you saw against Kingston last weekend, just as far as the compete level and as far as the smarts of, yeah, they had a couple of lapses out in front, but you saw that this team was not backing down to a really tough group on the opposition.
Well, last game against Kingston, it was there wasn't really any structure at all, and there wasn't any moments in the game where it felt like the IceDogs were taking over, regardless of the score. If you eliminated the score from the equation, it just looked a lot like they got scored on early, and then they were just trying to get through the game. Halfway through, it was 5-0, I believe, halfway through the second period, and for the better part of that last 10 minutes of the second period, the IceDogs hemmed them in, cycled the puck better than they have for a majority of the games this season, and they looked really good. And then that goal by Robrick, which is what the first of two for the IceDogs. Fantastic play by Robrick to get it to Bryant, and then another great play by Bryant to get it over for a pretty easy goal for Robrick. Just again, a great ending to the season in terms of the future of the franchise, something that we didn't get in the last couple of years.
We'll get to our scoring summary tonight, brought to you by J&O Flooring. If you think you get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know jack. Contact our Niagara Falls location in your quality flooring project today. As you mentioned, it was 5-0 halfway through the second period, but shots 35-26 in favor of the 67s. The IceDogs 8, only one less than the 67s had in that first period, and I want I want to hone in on that first period a little bit because I'm going to ask Ben Boudreau about it in the postgame just a little bit later on in the episode. But they had 3 odd man rushes on Micheloni early on in that first period, as well as Matthew Paris had a breakaway. If they score on 2 of those 4 chances, or even 1, we're talking about a completely different game here because the 67s didn't even have a shot on net until 11 minutes gone in the first period. So you think that could be a really momentum turn if the Ice Dogs were able to kind of get 1 or 2 of those on the board when the 67s were still kind of getting their feet together.
I think that's really been an issue for the most part this season. Short-handed, they bury every time they get an opportunity, but there has been times throughout the year where they've struggled with that. That being said, that's pretty much the MO of the Ice Dogs for the first half of the season with Flores and Vandenberg or Robertson, where Micheloni just did what he had to do to keep them in it early, and then they've got going. And that's really what Flores did for the majority of the season, where he would keep the Ice Dogs in games all the way to the third period, it would seem. So again, sometimes your goalie's going to save you, and that's what having a good goaltender will allow them to do. And Flores had an off night. He's had a couple of those, and I think it might just be wear and tear. He's played so much, and we're at a point now where they know the playoffs are not going to be a possibility really, and it is what it is.
No goals on the man advantage for either group tonight. Ottawa 0 for 1 on the power play. Niagara 0 for 2. As far as the lineup went, we saw Mason Ray get back in the lineup. Still missing Podolou and Andrew Wysick, but for the most part, they had quote-unquote their full lineup without any call-ups, even though they're still missing the 6th defenseman there. But I liked what I saw from number 71 in his return. He had 3 shots in the first period coming down that wing, and you can really see spurts of why this guy was a second-round pick by Brantford, and hopefully you think that he'd take a bigger step next year because he's able to create opportunities for himself because of his size, and we just need to see that shot go in a little bit more. But I've liked Mason Ray's return game. He had some spunk. He had some jump on that third line. So he's the guy that I look at for the last 10 games or so. I want to see him, take another step offensively, but he's another player that, going into next year could be somebody to look for sure.
Yeah, again, it hasn't had a big offensive impact this year since coming over in the trade, but he did look like he was starting to attack the net more, especially in this game. This reminds me a lot of Podolou last year. Like when Podolou came over, he didn't really do much, and I remember going into the season, we didn't even know if he was going to, maybe challenge for a roster spot, that kind of thing. And then it turned out he was one of our best players of the first 30 games of the season. And, with a full training camp here, with the rest of the core maturing and just becoming better players, you got a full off season of Ben Boudreau and his coaching staff. It could be really interesting. And you can't teach size. So, he's always going to have an impact in that department.
Face-offs 31-26 in favor of Ottawa, which isn't that bad when you think about it for a young Ice Dogs team, and so many good players on that Ottawa 67s team and 7 NHL drafted players with a great coach like Dave Cameron. This week at practice, I was here doing a story on Artem Frolov, which is, you can go check that out at armchairgmsports.com. Talked to the rookie defenseman there about him wanting to grow and take a step in his confidence offensively. But I was watching a couple of their drills. They were doing a lot of just trying to win defensive zone faceoffs. And that was literally, they focused on that for about 15, 20 minutes. And Ben Boudreau was the referee himself dropping the puck and continue with all 4 lines just rolling through. And you could tell that it made a difference tonight against a 67s team that's usually very good on the dot.
Absolutely. And again, with some younger players at center, specifically with Zada right now, I believe he would be the only one because Galyanov and Roberk were back on the wing, correct?
Yes.
Yes, just want to make sure. So that's going to be important. I mean, Gavin's been great on the draw, and so is Asadorian too. He's not bad either. So to go into next year with that being a priority, I mean, lately they've had some bad habits and getting hemmed into their zone, and a lot of that is they're going up against top end teams, right? And guys are wearing down, and they're having a hard time getting out of the zone. And being able to win the draw means that you don't have to worry as much trying to retrieve the puck before you get out of the zone. So obviously it's going to be a big focal point, especially early next year, I believe.
Our scoring summary tonight is brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. Not going to go over all the 67's goals, but they scored 2 in the first from Morelli and Mayich, 3 in the second from Henry Muse, Braden Kressler, and Cooper Foster. Again, those are 3 top-end talents right there. 2 of them drafted in the NHL, and one of them is going to be a first-round pick in the National Hockey League in the 2024 NHL draft, and Henry Muse. And there was a ton of scouts here tonight, Cam, down in the media room before the game. You could have put a whole roster together of the amount of scouts that were here to watch this Ottawa 67s team. Not only their currently drafted players, but when you've got a guy like Henry Muse on the other side. And that could also be a big boost for the Ice Dog players, because when the scouts are here watching, why don't you put on a good performance if you're a third or fourth line player, especially when you're going up against a guy like that? Make yourself noticeable to those other scouts to maybe turn an eye and say, oh, who's never seen him play before, and maybe you end up getting a look down the road.
I mean, I followed a lot of, just what's out there in the media and kind of consensus and things like that, and it doesn't surprise me that a lot of scouts are coming to take a look at Muse, because more than likely he's projected to go in the later half of the first round, and obviously that's going to be an important pick for whoever has that. Has had some issues with decision-making throughout the season. I remember specifically in our first game, the Ice Dogs, that he gave up a meatball right to Zada, and I had to do a double take, right? Just as and that happens. Every player at this level, they make mistakes. But as you get in, if you're labeled as a first-round talent, at some point you're going to get a lot of scouts in there, especially as the season winds down. And absolutely. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So a lot of scouts in attendance, a lot of talent on Ottawa to come and look. And look who scored for the Ice Dogs.
Good segue. Ryan Robrick breaks the schneid for the Ice Dogs, who were down 5-0 at the time, getting his 23rd goal of the season from Gavin Bryant. A beautiful cross-crease pass from the right dot, hitting Ryan Robrick right on his tape, and he was able to put it over top of Micheloni to get the Ice Dogs on the board, tying Chris D'Souza and Marco Insam for 23 goals as a rookie, which they were as 17-year-olds. He's a 16-year-old breaking these records. It's pretty unprecedented to think about it, but yeah, great goal there by Ryan Robrick, and all those scouts in the building got to see that tonight.
Absolutely, and we have talked about this for the last few weeks now, is that once this summer passes and we've got Kevin, knock on wood, everything goes well. I don't see how, but he gets his name called. And then we go into next year, and a lot of eyes are going to be on Robrick, especially in the higher round. He might be the highest drafted Ice Dog of the last little while, I would have to assume. I think technically off the top of my head, obviously you've got Keel and Phil and Tomasino.
Tomasino was a first rounder to Nashville, late first.
And Gushin was a third rounder, but he was already drafted. Like he hadn't played. You can't count him. Yep. But like that being said, other players on the team now. The Ice Dogs are now a destination. You're not going to not be watched is essentially what I was trying to get at there. So I think that's a good reminder. A lot of scouts in the building, and we're seeing it all over the OHL. Just because you're draftier, you don't get drafted. That doesn't mean much. I mean, look at Misa in Mississauga. Didn't get drafted in his draft year, and he is definitely going to get drafted this year, right? So I think that's going to really improve the mood isn't the right word, but really going to improve the vibes around it. Yeah, and not just the players that are here, but the ones that get drafted or have the potential to get traded here. It just really goes a long way because, Kevin and Rubrick are going to put this team on the map, and everyone else involved is really going to get them going.
No Jason Spezza or Kyle Dubas in the building tonight to watch their boy Cooper Foster from the Pittsburgh Penguins, but regardless, he still had a great night, scored 2 goals there, including the one right after Robrick scored, and then shout out, I guess, quickly to St. Catharines native Derek Smythe, who's playing for the 67, scored his first goal of the season, had a whole cheering section down here, so good for the Niagara native, I guess, coming back to Niagara and getting a goal in front of friends and family, and then Luca Pinelli really sealed it on a great give and go with Braden Kressler, and that's just, the Ice Dogs, you look at that, that's what you want to grow into, is having two of those guys like that are property of NHL teams with a beautiful give-and-go pass that was almost looked pro-level. And, the Ice Dogs are still building to that. But, when you're going up against teams like that, they could put out a line of all NHL-drafted players, it's hard to defend. And I can't even blame Robertson or Flores, who, forgot to mention, made a goalie change halfway through there at 5-0, put Charlie Robertson in. But both goaltenders just doing all they can to hang in there in front of a young group.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think that it's going to be tough for the players for the remainder of the year. We heard Coach Boudreau last game in the last post game kind of talk about how you're going up against teams that are getting ready for the playoffs, and you're going to get their full force. Whereas Ice Dogs and like Windsor, for example, they're just trying to get through the rest of the season, right, and still work towards things in the off season. And some of them are going to be fighting for roster spots too, so can't forget that. But it's a different mentality than trying to make sure that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted to going into the playoffs. So obviously very tough there. But again, I think that's exciting to see a team that has a top-end talent, in terms of the OHL, that can outscore their problems. And I think that the Ice Dogs don't have that luxury, and they haven't all year. But I think that going into next year, we might have Kevin's more than likely going to score 30. 30 in the OHL is not easy. Like that's a rare feat, especially on a team that's last in the league, right? You've got Robrick, who is 23 as a 16-year-old. Like I don't see it going down. And even if he gets, let's say 23 to 25, I could bet you his assists go up next year. And I think I saw the most this game that kind of surprised me is physicality. A lot of the times he seems nonchalant, and I still see that every once in a while from Robrick. But I noticed in the second and near the end of the second and the third period, he was getting awfully chippy, and that's good to see that you're becoming more confident, because that's the mark, that's something that's going to take some time to get used to, right? Just the physicality when you're going up against 20-year-olds on some nights, right? And it's good to see that he's a big dude. He's going to only get bigger. He's only 16, right? So if he's anything like his brother, we'll see.
It was 8-1 at that point, and at least the Ice Dogs finished off on a good note tonight. Kevin He earns himself a penalty shot after getting slashed on a partial breakaway there. Kevin He, leading goal scorer for the Ice Dogs, gets his 29th, goes backhand, forehand, a little quick move there on Micheloni to go glove side there. Was a thing of beauty.
Absolutely. It was a goal scorer's goal, and a nasty move. There was no doubt about it. That was impressive, and I'm happy for him. Again, like I said, as the season winds down, even in an 8-1 or 8-2 loss, to see Kevin and Robrick get on the board, that's big. I also want to point out that it isn't just about those two, because there is a lot of sticking up for each other. The game gets out of hand at that point. There was a lot of Federico we are going to miss next year.
He's the king of that.
Exactly, right? Like this, and everyone is sticking up for each other. Frolov, I don't know what has happened to Frolov, but he went to the Mike Levin school of getting angry after every whistle.
He went to Stonehouse, because we didn't mention him. He's a real agitator for the 67s, and the Ice Dogs weren't backing down to him tonight.
Frolov's fight earlier on in the year, I don't know what changed, but he is... Again, I think it's a confidence thing to know that, I'm in the league, right? I think early on you're just trying to hang on, especially as a defenseman. And he's not particularly big either in terms of height or, he does not back down from anyone now. And he's going out looking for it. There's a lot of times the play is in the other way where the Ice Dogs break the puck out, and he is John with whatever forward is last back. And that's good to see. The Ice Dogs need jam. Any team needs jam. This is hockey, right? You have to be able to at least stick up for your teammates, even in a loss like this one. And I want to say that just because Robrick and Kevin are obviously going to get the highlights and the goals and the points, that doesn't mean that that's everything. Gavin was fantastic tonight, worked from start to finish, and that rubs off on everyone else, I think.
Going to get more post-game analysis here coming up after our commercial break. Going to get head coach Ben Boudreau with his very honest thoughts here as far as the Ice Dogs compete level being a lot better than what it was in Kingston or against Kingston last weekend, despite the 8-2 score. So stay right here. We'll be right back on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara Ice Dogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
Pets bring immense joy to our homes, becoming an integral part of our families. But this living, loving experience often requires a little extra care and attention. That's where Global Pet Foods comes in, with owners and staff ready to support you every step of the way. Check out one of their locations today. 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Proud show sponsor of the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara Ice Dogs.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicles in top running condition through their services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers came to expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers, who can feel confident they'll get the trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your cars. To find out more or to book service, contact them today. 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
Niagara Golf Lounge features 2 state-of-the-art indoor golf simulators, allowing you to play some of the world's best courses all year round. The perfect place to indulge all season long. Don't worry about getting thirsty while you play around with your friends. Their fully stocked bar offers a wide selection of drinks, appetizers, and a variety of meals are also available to enjoy before, during, or after you play. Grab a seat next to the fire in their comfortable sports lounge. Didn't bring your clubs? No problem. They have partnered with TaylorMade to offer you the best rental clubs. You won't want to miss their exclusive NFL and NHL giveaways for the Buffalo Sabres and Buffalo Bills. Located in the Best Western Plus Cairncroft Hotel, 6400 Lundy's Lane in Niagara Falls. Visit NiagaraGolfVacations.com to learn more and to reserve your golf bay today. The Niagara Golf Lounge, Niagara's home for golf and sport all year round.
J&L Flooring is Niagara's specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride and provide elite customer service and support. With a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety of truly unique products, J&L Flooring is your specialty flooring and decor boutique shop. All of their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced so you can feel good about your flooring choices. Their goal is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they simplify the process to make your life easier and to make your home more beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls or find out more at jnlflooring.com. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack at J&L Flooring. Since 1999, Niagara Denture Clinic has been helping thousands of patients achieve natural-looking smiles with the confidence to show them off. Sean Battelle and his wife Anne, both licensed denturists, bring a wealth of skill and experience to the warm and friendly atmosphere to their Niagara Falls location at 5501 Drummond Road. And their on-site Niagara Hearing Clinic offers free hearing tests and a variety of services to fit your needs. This family-run practice takes pride in providing superior care and service to their patients, along with the best premium products available on the market. Get the best work done at a more reasonable price. Niagara Denture Clinic is here to help. Protect your teeth with a mouth guard, replace missing teeth, and get better hold with your dental implants. Call them today for a free consultation at 905-353-1552 or check them out online at niagaradentureclinic.com. Niagara Denture Clinic, creating natural smiles in the Niagara region for 25 years.
This is Kevin Heath.
This is Ethan Zader.
It's Owen Floyd. You're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Niagara IceDogs game recap, right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Thanks to those today tuning in on-demand audio on your favorite audio listening platform. Make sure to give us a follow at Dog Pound Podcast for all of our IceDogs content there. As well, check out ArmchairGMSports.com for all of our recent articles regarding IceDogs players. And you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel by searching Armchair GM Sports Network for all of our reels and clips for you on there as well. So Cam Halbert is with me for his final game recap of the season here, along with myself, Brandon Caputo, and the IceDogs, fall 8-2 here to the 67s. As we talked about in the first part of the episode today, really just if you didn't watch this game and you just looked at the score sheet and said, "Oh, look at that, another blowout loss for the IceDogs," but when you really watch and analyze this game, it was a tale of the 67s burying their chances and the Ice Dogs not being able to finish their chances early on in the first half of this game. It was 5-0 for Ottawa, but the Ice Dogs could have scored 4 or 5 goals in that first half of the period. And we've seen them have success against the 67s team this year, which is very unlike Dave Cameron to give up a lot of goals. But the Ice Dogs have been able to score on this well-coached and defensively sound 67s team this year.
No, absolutely. And I think that's just a bad night of I don't want to say luck. I mean, even though the last power play to end the game, we were talking about this, so the play was getting set up. Rubrick and Kevin were both in one-timer spots, and they just couldn't get anything on their shots, like wide-open one-timers, and missed the net high, but it wasn't hard. So I think it was just a rough night in that sense, and they really needed just a godlike performance from Flores or Robinson, I think. And, again, we saw that for the majority of the season, in the first half of the season. And I think that'll come. Like, we have a lot of heart on the squad. Can't deny that, and we just need to put some pucks in the net a little bit.
Going to get to our post-game with Ice Dogs head coach Ben Boudreau, as always, brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012. In honor of the late William Robert Hunter, here is Ice Dogs head coach Ben Boudreau on his team's performance tonight against this Ottawa 67s group.
Sure. How much can this help him to be able to battle through this adversity? Because if you can battle through this, that can only help you, right?
He's going to be a future leader on this team. There's no question if he isn't already, and he's going to help the next young crop of guys when we're having success as a group and we're ready to compete. When everybody starts to mature, he's going to help our young guys understand, what it takes to get through the dark days. And like I said, it's been one of my cliches that I've used this year more often than I'd like to admit. But if you want the sunshine, you got to put up with the rain. And right now, it's been raining, so he's going to remember those rainy days when it's nice and sunny in a couple years for us here.
For sure. Now, how do you handle this as a coach when you go through this? Because this cannot be easy on you because, this is what you do. You don't want to see him lose. How do you handle this?
Well, I mean, obviously writing an article was, it was truthful. I mean, it sucks to lose. It sucks when you can't keep your head up and you don't have belief. But, you don't give up. You try to find ways to keep going. And I thought that was pretty evident. And I was fortunate to sit at the mayor's State of the City address and all the business people. And I'd never had a chance to meet him, but I heard great things about him and an avid Ice Dog fan. And he started his State of the Address by acknowledging the Ice Dogs. And after reading the articles in the paper, understanding the struggles, but still continuing to support us. It meant the absolute world to me that, that it means a lot to people in this community, understanding what the young talent is and where we're at right now. It's not where we're going to end. It's where we're starting. And, it's not an easy road from A to B, but when you have the recognition from somebody as important as the mayor and the continued support, not only from the businesses and the fans, but people like the mayor, it's extremely important, and it makes you want to get up and go to work. And like I said, we got to deal with the tough times to get to the good ones right now, and there's a lot of learning lessons to be had. We just got to make sure we're aware of those lessons and the fact that we are learning. And I felt our effort level through 60 minutes, albeit almost the same result, was night and day effort level change from last weekend. So as a coach, I'm extremely proud of that.
Okay, you've got 10 games and 1 month to go here. Is that the kind of the message, at the effort level, get the young guys some ice time, that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, yeah, 100%. I mean, the young guys have been getting ice, but, everybody has a reason to play it. You never know who's watching. And I mean, whether you're a 20-year-old guy with Federco and, trying to find his path, whether it's pro hockey or university, I mean, he's still got 0 goals and he's trying to score. And I get that. Or Evan Klein or Van Netten, 19-year-olds that face uncertainty next year. Right. Everybody is playing for themselves, for their own opportunities, but they're hopefully doing it with our team structure. And when we play together as a team, everybody has success. So I don't care if you're 19 or 16-year-old, everybody has a reason to play. And, the second that you give up, the coach isn't going to reward them with anything. And you saw a guy like Vermeulen that had 3 big hits on the 4th line, graduated to the 2nd line by the end of the game just because of his effort level was noticeable. And you want to go to bat for those guys. And And so, as negative as you can be or criticize the team, which I was guilty of this past weekend, we also have to celebrate the bright spots. And we do have a lot of them. We are going to be a great team. We've got back-to-back years of breaking the rookie record. We're going to have some unbelievable players in this lineup. And that's something I'm proud to attach my name to in an effort level, albeit the same result. I'm proud of that effort level that the guys gave tonight because they didn't give up when they easily could have.
Coach, when you talk about that first half of the first period, you really could have had 2 or 3 goals there. I mean, you had 3 odd man rushes. Paris had the breakaway. It was a 0-0 game at that time. So if 1 or 2 goes in, we might see a different scoreboard tonight.
I mean, sometimes you need that early luck just to give you the jump. And, I mean, we held them without a shot for the first 11 minutes of the game. That's a really good Ottawa team. And then 20 minutes later, we're down 5-0 on 5 goals on 15 shots. I mean, it's a big difference right now. And our margin of error is so slim and so small, that it's tough. But it's so admirable the way we tried to bounce back and start. And we earned our chances. We just didn't find a way to execute. And so one of the big things you look at, the difference between our team and the mature teams that have the older guys is our execution level. We get the chances, but they're not going in right now. So the biggest thing, like I said, we're proud of right now is we didn't pack it in. We didn't give up. I mean, yeah, we got beat up, but it wasn't because of a lack of effort.
Yeah, and you talk about the scoreboard, it was 8-2, but as opposed to what happened in Kingston where they were just cycling around your net the entire game, what against another quality team that knows how to play a certain type of style, and how do you feel like those younger players going through a team like this will hopefully be better for that when come their next year or the next time they go up against a team that's very structurally sound like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to remember what it takes to be able to compete. At the same time. I mean, it's not easy for 16-year-olds to play the amount of minutes right now, but they're going to be better for it next year. I mean, Frolov is only one of 5 Ds right now playing heavy minutes against the best players that are physically dominant and in their primes and their peaks of their career. And when you play against better guys and bigger minutes, you're going to understand what it takes to compete every single shift, no matter how tired you are. And same thing goes for Zada and Galyanov and even Rubrik. And when those guys can learn and understand what it takes, they're going to show the next crop of guys what it is to be able to compete and go. So, I'm encouraged by that. And like I said, the wins and the losses right now, it is what it is. But the things that we can control are the things that we're going to focus on. And effort level, for one, is something that the players can control. And, the structure and the way we do it to make sure that they don't give up, that's something that we control. So the guys that are playing the hardest and giving everything they have are going to have the most opportunity through the last 10 games of the season.
And lastly, you were very honest last week about this being a tough stretch for you personally as a coach. You talked about looking at those bright spots. Where do you find that fine balance of, making sure that you're hard on the guys as far as making sure that they're getting the message that you want them to get, but also celebrating some great accomplishments like Robrick tying the rookie record tonight, and Kevin's going to be a 30-goal scorer. So where do you find that fine balance of a coach as, making sure that you're hard on them, but also celebrating the small victories that they're getting right now as a last-place team?
Well, I don't want to change who I am, as a coach. I show up every single day with a lot of energy and try to motivate them. And, yeah, absolutely, that's I'm human at the same time, too, and I admit my choice of words probably weren't the best. And, I'm going to learn from that just as a person. But I went to work on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday with the same philosophy and the same ideals that I had before starting the season is what can I do to impact this team? What can I do to get these guys better? And like I said, I thought our effort level was better, maybe the results, but that's something I can absolutely live with is the effort level and the way we came out and played. And we didn't give up. We got beat for sure, but we didn't give up. And like I said, it wasn't from a lack of effort. They've got a lot of talent. They made a lot more plays than us. And, I can give them credit for what they did, is they executed. And that's something that we need to learn as a young group is our level of execution needs to get a little bit higher. So, I'm proud of those guys tonight for not packing it in. And as a coach, I got to make sure that I'm coming in every day with a smile on my face, with an opportunity to continue to grow. And this is still a position that I cherish, being the coach of the Niagara IceDogs here. So until we're officially eliminated and the season's done, we're going to still try to show up and do what I do here.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
There was IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau on the Wild Bills Auto Repair post-game cam. A lot of self-reflecting for the coach this week, it looked like, and he was honest about, maybe his choice of words weren't the best it was post-game last game, but again, honest thoughts is always what you're going to get from Ben Boudreau. He wears his heart on his sleeve as a head coach, and he just has so much passion for being the Niagara IceDogs head coach. You can tell it in his voice and the way that he comes to work every day. And he doesn't, as a coach, you don't want to get embarrassed like that. So he was happier with the compete level tonight, but, it was good to hear some, honest thoughts personally from the coach as well.
Oh, I always love to see some humility, right? Like, I think that something that he mentioned that I liked is that all these kids have got to grow, and they will as well, and that he's going to, as he carries on, and the only thing that he can bring no matter what is his effort level. And I think you see that throughout the back half of this season going into next, and it just makes it really exciting, like I said, about next year and watching the core grow. He mentioned all of the players still fighting for spots like next year and what that's going to be like in training camp. And now we've got the draft upcoming, next month. No, April, so we're early in about a month from now. And that's when, again, it's another exciting time for the IceDogs. We'll obviously get a high pick, potentially first overall, to go with the core and the complement of players that we've already got. The scouting staff has done an unbelievable job the last 2 years. When you think back to Kevin being a second-round pick, and the 4 16-year-olds that have played almost every game this year and have been impactful, you really get excited. And you throw in the fact that, Ben Boudreau is going to have a full training camp. And effort starting at training camp or even after the draft and setting his guys up with off-season plans and things like that. Like, I think that's going to go a long way.
Yeah, getting them rolling with exactly what he wants from the start as opposed to coming in halfway through the year and kind of having to scramble, and maybe certain players, aren't really his guys, quote-unquote. We always see that with certain players being, guys from under the old regime, and it's an easier job when you can start fresh with a new season, a new draft class, and mold the guys the way that you want to, especially in junior hockey, because a lot of it is molding those young minds into what you want them to become as OHLers, and hopefully you want to see them go on to become pro hockey players as well.
Absolutely, and I think that only improves as it goes along. Obviously, we've talked about this in the last episode, that he's really not struggled like this in his coaching career in terms of the performance on the ice. And I don't think he's going to accept that. He had mentioned when he got hired that he's here for a little while. And it's clear that the management wants him regardless of the standings, at least if the product on the ice continues to improve. And we said this all year round. This is such a better team than last year. Same result, last place, but now the gap isn't like they weren't supposed to be in the OHL. Like that was really what it was last year. And that's not the case this year. I mean, there was games where they took out the Kitchener Ranger game will go down in a couple of years as one of the craziest wins that I think they've ever had. There were 16 players on the roster that night, and they beat the number 1 team in the East. Like, it's just crazy to me. And those wins that you stack up like that, like he talked about in the dark days, those are the ones that are going to be remembered when they put up a 50-win season.
And he's talked about getting through the rain to get to the sunshine, and that's exactly what the IceDogs are doing, while doing a lot of learning, and hopefully those players are absorbing this learning experience like a sponge as they move forward here for the last 10 games in the next season. But we're going to talk more about that, but let's get to our IceDogs Unsung Hero tonight, as we don't have a feature player interview, and that is brought to you by the Niagara Dental Clinic, creating natural smiles in Niagara for 25 years. If you guys bring your mouth guard on the ice or lost a chiclet, contact their licensed team of dental professionals in Niagara Falls to get your smile back on track. Cam, who's your unsung hero for the IceDogs tonight?
100% Gavin Bryant. I think that, again, there's a reason why he's the captain. And if you are, regardless of the score, there was a couple players, and that weren't maybe we haven't seen go all out throughout in the third period. And I get that in an 8-1 or 8-2 game. Gavin Bryant was not one of them. And on the forecheck, he's just ferocious, regardless of the score. Back-checking, all of that. Like, it's just a very, very good performance by him, and it's a great pick to be the captain going into next year.
And this is now his 7th point in 3 games against the 67s this year. He's been dynamite. 3 goals and 4 assists in the 3 games against the 67s. He enjoys playing this team and probably wishes he could play them more. From a personal standpoint, obviously, as the captain, he wants to see them get wins. But Statistics-wise, Gavin Bryant has had a solid season in his 3 games against the 67. So move on to our player of the game, brought to you by the Niagara Golf Lounge. Niagara's home for golf and sport year-round. Located in the best Western Care and Craft Hotel in Niagara Falls. Visit NiagaraGolfVacations.com to learn more, to host an event, or to book your golf bay today for their winter golf league as well. So go and check that out if you want to get some golf in before the season actually starts. Cam, who's your player of the game tonight?
It will be Kevin. He finished on that penalty shot, but he was really dangerous offensively, I thought. And, again, just a bright spot for this team. I also got to give a quick shout-out to Frolov, like I mentioned throughout. Like, he is battling every shift. He is getting annoyed and frustrated against who he goes up against, and I think that that's going to go a long way in his game for sure.
Mason Ray, as I mentioned,
early on in the game, yes.
He had 5 shots on net tonight, so it's good to see for Mason Ray. Robrick threw 4 on as well. Kevin, he only threw two on, and that's pretty disappointing for a guy that comes in leading the Ontario Hockey League in shots, but he's a guy that's not afraid to shoot the puck.
It's crazy that he's leading the OHL in shots. I love that.
Okay,
he's only going to get stronger, too.
He is, and we're going to talk about him a lot more. Cam, thanks for doing this, your last game recap of the year, but you will be on for our monthly recaps and whatever other video episodes we do leading up to the end of the season come draft time. So, wish you well and look forward to when you're on again.
It's going to be sad. It's the last time of the home game of the season for me, but it's been great, man, and I'm excited about the rest of the season and heading into the offseason.
That's going to wrap up another Niagara IceDogs game recap right here on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family in all 4 of their great Niagara Region locations. Thank you to those today who tuned in on-demand audio. And for Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo, signing off from the Meridian Centre here. IceDogs 2, 67s 8. And we look forward to talking to you next week for our monthly wrap-up show. We will have General Manager Wes Consorti on. So bidding you adieu for tonight's game right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network.